For me, it's students that initiate the conversation. A lot of times, students will come to a career fair booth and just introduce themselves, tell me their major, and then they just kind of stop or wait for me to tell them about the company. I think this goes back to what Jessica talked about, researching the company. If you research the company and research the jobs that the company are hiring for, it gives you the ability to initiate the conversation and ask questions or lead the conversation. It's like a breath of fresh air when somebody comes up and does that, because it really helps the conversation flow. So that's something that really stands out to me, is that somebody can really take charge of the conversation.
I've actually been doing some interviewing lately for Aldi, and it's very interesting to me the folks that I meet when they give their 30-second elevator speech, as you guys call it here. They're more inclined to tell me about how the position suits their needs in the company or the location or the role suits their needs, as opposed to how it suits my needs as the prospective employer. So I would really encourage you to evaluate, or maybe share your 30-second speech with somebody else and get an impression. Am I going to meet the needs of the prospective employer with the speech? Because as an employer, if we're looking to hire people, we're looking for people that are going to be able to solve our problems. And we're very selfish in that regard. So really think in terms of the need of the employer, as opposed to things that you observed that were most interesting to you. Really think in terms of meeting the needs of that employers.
From a career fair perspective, we're going to see, I don't know how many, hundreds of students that day that come by, and based on the great advice tonight, everybody will be in a suit. Nobody will be wearing flip-flops or shorts or t-shirts. So you'll look generally the same. Your posture will be generally the same. But when you come up and meet an employer, it's amazing how important, at least to us, a handshake is. If you can extend the handshake comfortably, confidently, with a nice firm grip, introduce yourself, make eye contact, volume of your voice. If I have to ask you to repeat your name to me, that's somebody who's timid, who's probably not ready for the mature positions that we're offering to them. So if you want to separate yourself from just the general population, volume of voice, handshake, a professional, conservative look is what you need to do, and you'll go a long way with that in that initial introduction.
I agree with everything the panel said so far. One of the things that really stands out when I'm talking to technical students that usually I talk to mostly engineers at career fairs, is that you come up and you know about the different job requisitions we have in the system. You introduce yourself, you tell me your classification, and I'm really interested in working on the Joint Strike Fighter, one of our projects out of Fort Worth, or maybe one of our projects out of Washington, D.C. And what that does, it helps me start thinking, like, oh yeah, I talked to this recruiter who has this rec in Washington, D.C., so now I start making that association. And once I make that connection with you, then at the end of the career fair, if I've talked to 200 students at the end of the day, then I'm kind of remember who are the ones that really stood out to me, make my notes, and then when I get back to the office, I can call up, hey, Washington, D.C., I got like 3 guys I want to send to you. I can call up Arrow and say, hey, I got 2 students I want to send down to you. And that kind of helps make that action happen for you guys to get into that site interview.
I'd also add to that the amount of confidence you show when you walk up. I mean, the handshake, the eye contact. You can walk up and you can look in somebody's eye and shake their hand limply. Kind of, and everybody's gotten that limp grip handshake before. And sit up here and you're kind of like, wow, what's this type of person? What person is this, or what is this person going to be like? And when you see that, when you feel that, you kind of take a step back, and then you start second guessing what this person's actually telling you and showing you. But if you come in and you're confident, you've got the eye contact, you smile, you have the handshake, that makes you that much more attractive to a prospective employer, because it means that you're ready to be standing in front of us and you're not afraid of us. And being confident and not afraid of somebody is going to be the biggest thing that you'll run into in my world, at least, or in the business world in general. And that shows a lot to us. The thing that impressed me, we've hired 5 students from TCU. The very first one I hired here was probably the most energetic person I've met at any of the career fairs I've been to so far. He was very outgoing, loved to talk, and that just stuck with me. And then his follow-up afterwards was impeccable. Not only did he send an email, but he sent a thank you letter for taking the time. And they said earlier, kind of old school. It is old school to take the time to write out a letter, or write out a note and say thank you for spending the time with me. But it goes a long way as to how much you want to pursue us, or how much you want to pursue a career with us at that point. And it stood out very big in my mind. And once he graduated, we hired him probably 2 weeks afterwards. And he's on a fast track. If he continues the way he's going, he'll probably be in a manager or director role like mine in the next couple of years.